Right, now I don't know how this will go, but I thought it might be quite interesting to maybe discuss low-tech special effects. Now by that I mean sleight of hand, things that happen on stage that look clever and unexpected but don't necessarily need to have cost £1 million. So at one end of the scale, more at the £1 million end of the scale, you've got things like the car and Chitty Bang Bang, which flies around, which did cost £1 million. And at the other end of the spectrum, there's clever little things you can do very inexpensively to make something look really good. I'm thinking specifically of a thing I did in a show at, I think it was at the Nuffield Theatre in Southampton. We were doing Christmas Carol, and the director wanted a pointing arm to explode through a brick wall and point at Scrooge. Nothing to it, piece of cake. What can go wrong? All the usual stuff. So I had to think about this, and what I did was I got my arm, this one here, this arm, without the watch on, and with a pointy finger, well, with this finger pointing, and I measured it, and then I made a box to put my arm in, and made a load of what's the name, plaster of Paris, mixed up a load of that, poured it in the box, stuck my arm in with my finger pointing, did it till it was halfway up my arm, and waited till it dried, and then took my arm out, and then mixed up another load, put my arm back in, put some cling film over so the two halves of the mould wouldn't stick together, poured another load in, sat there. I had to sit there for about half an hour, 3/4 of an hour each time. Now, as anybody who knows me will probably remember, I'm quite a fidgety sort of person, and I was sat in an office with hundreds and hundreds of Bakewell tarts. So what I did basically was just eat Bakewell tarts until the plaster went off. Anyway, then plaster's gone off, take the thing off, and you're left with a cast, a hollow likeness of your arm with your finger pointing. Then I had to I should point out there were a lot of Bakewell tarts because we'd been doing a show, and the script required one of the actors to eat Bakewell tart, and so I'd got in touch with Mr Kipling Cakes and explained we were theatre darling. Could we by any chance have some free Bakewell tarts for the show? And to my delight, they said yes, but then a van turned up, a transit van full of Bakewell tarts. The run of the show was only for 3 weeks, and there was only one actor eating a bloody thing anyway, so that was 8 shows a week times 3 or 4 weeks is not a van full, that's for sure. So we had hundreds and hundreds of Bakewell tarts all over the place. Fantastic, I love Bakewell tart. So anyway, got the mould, and then stood it on end, stuck them together, taped around it, and poured resin in. And then, this is a bit of a clever thing I thought, I was worried that my finger would break off, not my in the thing. So I got a knitting needle and lowered that in to the mould with the fiberglass resin. Poured the resin in, held that, ate some more Bakewell tarts in all probability, till it all set, and then took it apart, and I was left with, rather spookily, a sort of translucent copy of my arm. Now, I don't know if you've ever done that, and it's like casting bits of your own body. Don't tell me if you have, anyway. But it's quite spooky seeing a representation of your own arm, slightly see-through. A little bit quirky, really. Anyway, so then we, next phase, we then made it look real. I got people who painted it, made it look like a hand. Then I got the section of wall it was meant to burst through was all made out of vac-formed brick and painted up to look like a real brick wall. I cut out one brick, took that away and made a foam back for it, so it became a foam brick, but it looked like a brick in front. Then behind that I made a sort of chute, an angled chute with the arm on, and then I had a car elastic going around behind the arm, and then a pin, a hinge pin, so about that long metal thing you put through pin hinges. It's a pin for a hinge. One of those and some string, the old trusty string job. So you pull the arm back, stick the thing in, and it's then set. Stick the brick in front, then all you have to do at the prescribed time is pull the string, the pin comes out and the arm is fired through the wall by the elastic. Now obviously what you don't want to happen is the arm to come completely out of the wall. That would be ridiculous. It needs to have the effect of just being an arm, apparently from some sort of dead body pointing at the bloke. So I had to put a thing on the arm to stop it coming right through the brick. So it only goes so far and then stop pointing accusingly at Scrooge. Yeah? Now, I was very proud of this. We had a few goes and it was a brilliant, glittering success. So I called the director over and got the director to stand there and said, Patrick, that was his name. I didn't just pluck it out of the air. He really was called Patrick. He was a nice man. Quite a good director, actually. But anyway, so I demonstrated it to him. It was a shame that I tried it so often, because actually that one time the director standing there, what happened was I fired it and the arm shot out of the wall, and the thing that I put on it to restrain it so that it only came out so far broke off, with the result that the arm fired at the director, shot over his shoulder and landed in the stage behind. He was impressed, to be fair, so you know, what can he do? And that was just teething problems. After that, it worked fantastically in the show. It was a good show as well. There was another point in this same show. It was really heavy on special effects. There was one bit where I had to wear a mask so I looked like the bloke who was playing Scrooge, so we could swap places without the audience noticing at all, and I could then be brought on as but I was brought on as his dead body at some point as well. Now, a hot tip here is, if you're a member of crew and you're going to be carried on stage under a sheet as a dead body, don't have musical underpants on. I did, and it wasn't good, because I'd been talking to one of my colleagues saying, I've got my Christmas underpants on. When you press this thing, it plays Jingle Bells. So as I was going on stage under the sheet, giving my dead body, one of my friends punched me in the groin, setting off my underpants. So as this apparently dead body was carried on stage, you could hear Jingle Bells playing very tinkly and tinnily from under the sheet. Another point in that play, you'll be familiar with Scrooge. The ghost of Christmas Present came on stage on a big truck, big circular truck, with him sat on top with a big cloak covering it all up, with starving children underneath for the bit where there's starving children. Anyway, there was room under the truck for someone to push it. So my job at this point in the stage, Christmas Present, under the ghost of Christmas Present, shove him around the stage. Piece of cake. At one point in the show, the ghost of Christmas Present had to blow on his horn of plenty. Now, he and I had been chatting about this and thought, well, A, it was quite clear he couldn't get any sort of a note out of the horn of plenty. It just sounded like a farting noise. At the time, I was quite keen on playing the trumpet. Some of you will be surprised to know I used to play the trumpet. I can't remember how to now. I've forgotten. Anyway, I thought, and he agreed, it'd be quite funny if I brought my trumpet with me. So when I was underneath him, pushing him around the stage, I had my trumpet hung on a hook. And when he got to the bit where he was going to blow his horn of plenty, he would waggle his left foot, which I could see from inside the truck, hidden under his cloak. When he waggled his left foot, I started to play. When he waggled his right foot, I would finish playing. So we did this in the technical rehearsal. On the stage, he waggled his foot. I played a bit of Summertime or something. It wasn't particularly appropriate, but it sounded good. And he waggled the other foot. I stopped playing. Director just said to him, "That's fantastic. I didn't know you could play the horn of plenty that well. That's brilliant." Didn't have a clue that I was underneath with the trumpet. How credulous. Anyway, this went on through the run, doing really, really well. Obviously, we got a bit slapdash after the first few days. And one day I was tired, should we say, and pushing him around under the truck. I had to wait for quite a long time before he did the bit where he waggled his foot. Anyway, so I lay down under the truck, and to be honest, I nodded off. All I suddenly knew was that there were people upstage and in the wings throwing things at me, trying to wake me up. And I sort of came round and looked up, and all I could see was this foot frantically thrashing about above my head. I sort of grabbed my trumpet, did a quick fart on it, and that was it. That didn't go so well, but it was a good effect. That's the point. Making an effect simply, cheaply, brilliant. Okay.